Hey, well, today I'm angry at our completely dysfunctional government, and I'm going to give you three examples. Let's start with the federal level. Right now, we're facing a fiscal cliff as people who've been getting $600 a week from the federal government, which is $2,400 a month, which is almost $30,000 a year, have just been cut down to zero. Now, you can argue all you wish about how much money these people should be getting, whether they should possibly be getting as much as they were making or more when they were employed, but the fact remains, these people do need money. For this to come to a complete and abrupt halt is insanity. And the reason this has happened is the Democrats are trying to get a $3 trillion spending bill passed. As a matter of fact, during negotiations, they raised their request from $3 trillion to $3.4 trillion. This is in addition to the $6.5 trillion that was already been approved. Now, there is the allure of the nice round number of $10 trillion, but it's insane. I mean, this money is being borrowed and we, the citizens, are going to have to pay it back. I should say, we, the taxpayers, because not all citizens are even paying taxes. However, the fact remains that both parties, Republicans and Democrats alike, have not succeeded in doing anything to help the people who are now facing a fiscal cliff. It's a disaster. The incompetence is noteworthy. Here's another thing that points out how ridiculous our political system is. The Democrats are running a candidate who has dementia. I mean, I take no joy in pointing out that Joe Biden, who by all accounts is a very decent, fun fellow, the guy is suffering mental cognitive decline. The fact is, Trump is also. I saw his recent interview, and he certainly also seems to be suffering. However, this just illustrates my point. Both candidates potentially are in cognitive decline. Why do we even consider having 80-year-old guys in any position of leadership? They should be escorted to a warm chair by the fire and given a blanket and maybe some hot milk, a cigar for the gentleman perhaps. But the fact is that today we have two 80-year-old guys running for president, neither one of which probably is at his best mentally. Nobody says anything about this. What a classic case of the emperor having no clothes. The Democratic candidate is so far in his cognitive decline that people are actually considering seriously that there not be a debate, that he not be forced to speak publicly before the election. What madness is this? Isn't there a legitimate right to see the mental state of the next president of the United States and being told, oh, he'll have a vice president, don't worry, she can take over? What consolation is that? This is madness. If you thought that the first example was bad, where both Democrats and Republicans have allowed this week to arrive where there's an abrupt cessation of all government help, not only is the unemployment increase ending, the payroll protection plan, the 2.5 months that workers were paid with that money that was borrowed, that ended. This is all over. Neither party seems to accept the fact that we need government to do something to help. Not flail around, not spend money blindly, do something to help. That's example number one. Example number two, unfortunately, is two guys, neither of whom is at their mental peak, running for president. Not a good idea. And my third example is this ridiculous power grab by the governors of the states. Now, I have long advocated states' rights over the federal government, but this example is ridiculous. I mean, governors are saying you can't run on the beach. Governors are saying you can't use your family boat. This particular governor actually did try to use a family boat, but this is a perfect example that there are rules for thee and real rules for me. These governors have acted like despots. It's hard to believe that we even allowed them to have this power. I mean, we need to rein these guys in. Who knows what excuse they will use next to declare martial law, to tell us we can't leave our houses. I mean, when did we allow them to have this power? We agreed that it was appropriate if we were attacked in a nuclear war, for example. Who would have figured that for a bad case of the seasonal flu, we would allow this to happen? And that now the precedent has been set. What is next? What excuse will be used next? The governing systems in this country are completely broken. These three examples illustrate it at many different levels of government. I dare anyone to justify these governmental actions. The system is broken. What comes next? Surely it's time to think about it. Let's wake up.